Oh, perfect. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining today. My name is Anastasiia. I work with EPAM for 10 years already. I'm a quality assurance engineer, going into being quality architect, working on it. Some work should be done, but it's exciting trip. And today I'd like to talk about integration of generative AI and into quality assurance process. And it's not a secret, AI overtaking a lot of activities. And right now we're exploring the use cases, how we can apply it. A lot of people already applying it for generating requirements, test plans, test cases, automation, deployment. And of course, quality assurance, one of the areas that first was explored. And a lot of questions raised. Is it really going to provide value? Or it's going to introduce new type of bugs that were not known before? And of course, another question about dark side of AI. What about hallucinations? And we're going to talk a little bit about our use cases that our company already went through during the practice with our clients. We do a lot of experiments to make sure that it's safe, first of all, and providing value. And we're going to talk about our approach. Sure. So in my presentation, I'm going to have a lot of memes because I wanted to make it fun. It's my first time presenting. And also another side of it, most of all of them were generated with AI. So I just want to present like a humor side from the perspective of AI. Yeah, so let's do it. So productivity versus quality. What is productivity? It's actually very hard to define. And first, when we think about productivity, we could think about the amount of work that we produce, like lines of code, coverage. But what about quality? What about making sure that we bring in the value? How we're gonna? So in this picture, you can see that actually there is three concepts. It's quality, quantity, and efficiency. So productivity lays somewhere in intersection of these concepts. And of course, you can measure quality through basic metrics that we know, like defect leakage, etc. But what about other aspects? Like, for example, engineering culture. What about it? Engineering culture is something that encouraging people to be open, transparent, because when we're producing more value because of collaboration. Work-life balance. A lot of companies and practitioners exploring use cases because they believe that by automating routine tasks, we could concentrate more on creative tasks and, of course, create more balanced working environment. Team dynamics also very important. Quality and user satisfaction. It's like gathering feedback and making sure that we're following the right direction. And, of course, automation and tooling. Okay, metrics to measure productivity. So it's very important to measure our productivity. And there could different types of metric could be applied. It's individual metrics, team metrics. I'm going to do it a little fast because I want to spend most part of the presentation on demo. Again, another meme that I enjoy a lot. When we're talking about productivity, some people could think that by cutting corners, by trying to save in time on quality process, they think that they could accelerate time to production, but actually it could cause more problems. And understanding how important the quality and it's actually equal to productivity, it will tremendously help to improve product itself. Because when you invest time in quality, you increase in the productivity. So think quality first. Yeah, quality equals productivity. It was, yeah, I generated. Next. So we'd like to talk about our approach. And of course, first, we want to introduce challenges that we experienced. And the most challenging things that actually could cause a lot of clients to push back implementation of AI because they doubting how safe it is. And intellectual property ownership is also very important because are we really owning generated results? Who owning it? Another thing, it's work for upskilling. Of course, understanding how to use generative AI or LLM is important, but another thing is how to use it in creative way. Also, content management. It's very important to create some streamlines that would help to create some review process to make sure that everything generated by AI gonna be accepted quality and following standards and compliances. Validation and verification, and of course, productivity measurements. That I will talk in the next slides. Here you can see some of the use cases. It's just small subset because we went very far in that. So for this initiative, like 300 practitioners were involved, and more than 1,000 use cases were identified, 30% of them in quality assurance. So you can see here some of the parts of it. For example, test case design and development, test code generation, test case maintenance and management, test result analysis or test planning execution, coverage analysis. So, for example, instead of thinking how to do that, like test coverage of one level, you can think what other levels you can bring into testing, because sometimes when we're trapped in the routine work, we're starting to be blind of things that outside the box. And by automating it, we could start think creatively how we could improve it even better. Okay, proposed approach. So implementing of generative AI requires very careful planning and taking into consideration tools and human aspects of it. And of course, we're first thinking about security. And because of that, in our solutions that we use, we, of course, implement proxy and our tools backed by these proxies. Also, we have a solution called the iDial. It's open source. It was released under Apache license. It's our commitment to open source community and to make people contribute even more in use cases and exploring this field. Then building a foundation of engineering excellence. This one is actually the most important part. As soon as we found this new technology, what we do? Okay, let's try it. Let's do it. And then we get a result and think, it's better results. But actually, it's all about input, what you're providing in the input. If your use cases are not very structured and they have very controversial information inside, how we couldn't expect from the LLM to generate valuable results. So before to apply these solutions, we need to make sure that we're going through the stage of unification and stage of making sure that we're providing, and also actually about utilizing and we need to think about every input we're given, it's taken what? First of all, computating. Computating requires energy. And just by experimenting and put everything in the system, we'll taking resources out of it. So before providing input, we need to make sure that that information is structured well. Here, a pyramid of KPIs. It's to promote KPI-driven culture. And what we recommend before starting to implement generative AI, first of all, we need to do baseline metrics check. So we need to understand what our process. So after we applying it, we would see pluses and cons. Will it really help, or it would just create for specific problem? Actually, from what I already tried, I couldn't say that it's not helpful. It's just about, do we already understand how to implement it right? Because it's about any type of tool. Is it fit into our specific needs? But for specifically LLMs, it's so wide that it could cover a lot of different needs. And another thing, if there is no way to track and compare with baseline for some reasons, another approach is to do a real-time observation. So, for example, there is two teams. One team work with generative AI, another team work in standard before approach. And while this experiment's going, you can measure and compare what team provides, what team gives more productivity. So another topic I'd like to highlight is importance of seamless integration. What is it about? So just throwing in the team new tool and saying they need to use it, probably team would probably resist. But if we're gonna take already existing approach and we're gonna just use some plugins on top of that, or some supplemental tools that would just helping to improve the efficiency, that would help. And we have several tools that works on top of existing, most commonly used tools like Jira, for example. AIG needs tools that can generate requirements, user stories, use cases, acceptance, Epic's user stories and acceptance criteria, and create tickets just with the content. Alita Code, it's another plugin that we have that I'm going to demonstrate. It could be integrated into development environment like Visual Studio, IntelliJ, and you can utilize it to automate your test scripts. It's, of course, language agnostic. Another thing is content management and validation. It's coming back to the topic of hallucinations. To make sure that before deploying any type of content or creating any type of items in our existing systems, it should undergo through some review pipelines to make sure that it suits its goal. Another thing is building connectors. What is connectors? For example, just generating content already becoming not enough to cover the goal and our requirements needs of the accelerating time to production. When we, in addition to generating content, would automate the flow, so it would take, for example, requirements from Jira, automatically create test cases, manual test cases, then create a script and create a branch and do pull request. That's what I'm going to demo today. Then another aspect, integrate content management and validation. Okay, facilitating collaboration and experimentation. Experimenting is very important because that's how we grow and build expertise, and exploring the new field that was provided to us. So what we can do to support real-time collaboration? First of all, it's to create environment where team could collaborate, where they can share the prompts, everyone could work on it, improve or use other people prompts. And of course, to create private space where people would feel comfortable and safe to experiment. And that would foster the innovation. So, and bringing it all together, there is a solution that we built using the approach that I told about. You can see here high level, not an architecture, but integration, how it works. And we're following our goals that we're trying to achieve to build it secure, easy to integrate, flexible, and easy to customize. Case studies. So first client that we worked with on that, and actually co-author of this solution, it was electronic library. And the goal was to automate large number of end-to-end tests. And we were given 4 months period. And during this 4 months period, we got 1,000 end-to-end UI tests being automated. And it's increased development velocity by 15%. We got 20% time savings and 40% of reduction in implementation costs. So yeah, there were the way how it was measured, the two teams were worked in parallel. One team was with AI and another team without. Okay, this is where I'm gonna show demo. I'm not sure it's gonna work on the first try. Just why I explained on the picture on the screen. You know, I feel like my jokes are not funny. No one's smart. Okay. Okay, so here on the screen you can see interface of the solution. And so here it's putting together what I told before. It's about combining results of LLM and connectors. There is entity called agents. I'm sure a lot of people. So here's our interface, by the way. So it's a platform for collaboration, as I told before. How does it work? I mean, like, what I mean by collaboration. So, for example, 1 second. I need to connect to VPN. Okay, connected. So here's where people could collaborate. They could create small modular prompt that could be reused in different type of prompts, like orchestration of the prompt. For example, if you want to run your prompts one or run your data sets or prompts one after another, here is the way how that's how our dashboard works. And there is the entities that could be created. It could be prompt, it could be data source, it could be agent. What's the difference between prompt and data source? Data source contains feature of embeddings. So, for example, you can add there any type of files that you want. For example, it could be CSV table, it could be text file. And this way you expanding your knowledge base. For example, you also could integrate it with the Confluence. If you have Confluence, you can integrate it and use it as additional context for your prompt to expand its knowledge beyond LLM existing information. Okay, let me run the agent. So, and this is most interesting part. This agent, let's go and see step by step instruction. So, actually gonna run it meanwhile. So there is a variety of the LLMs that could be used for this. You can see that it's like huge different like drop down of most of existing LLMs. So I'm running it, and meanwhile I'm going to explain what does it do. So first step, it's going to create new branch in GitHub. Input that this particular agent has only two inputs. First input that I just provided over here, it's just the ID of the Jira item that has user story. It's a Jira item. So it's gonna extract information. So it's gonna connect to Jira. It's gonna extract information from this ticket, like very basic. And based on that, it's gonna create test cases. But what's even more interesting that one of the connectors that it has, it's a tool called browser. So using this tool, you could provide the link to the website that you test, and it's going to extract HTML code and create a page object of that also could be part of the response. And for example, we dealt with a lot of problems while we were trying to create this page object. First of all, because of locators. So how to make LLM to generate right locators, just you providing it HTML code. So how we did it? So in a data source that I use as one of the tools in data sets, we provided the guidelines how to like best practices of creating locators. And this agent can reuse it for generating the output. So coming back to the instruction, so it's creating new branch in GitHub. Then it's extracting information from the Jira. So also using the web link, it's creating page object. Also, it's creating feature file with scenarios, because in this particular case, we use Cucumber. So it's going to be in specified format. After that, we generate in step definitions. And page object. And after that, we commit. And the latest step, on top of that, we provide traceability metrics between user stories and generated test case scenarios. Here you can see tools. If I open it, you can see what type of integrations you can have. You can add to it another agent. So there could be like several agents working together. It could be a browser that I told you about that could extract HTML code from the page. Custom, you can create your own integration. Confluence, you can integrate your Confluence of your project into it and extract information like to help with output. Could be GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, Jira. You can also integrate with TestRail. And let's take a look step by step. Another thing is that while it's generating work going through the steps, and every step it's providing explanation what it's doing. Like it's explaining what this thinking process, like why the agent doing it this way. So first we see that it's created a branch. Right now, for some reasons, it takes a little bit more time. It's trying to extract information from Jira. Okay. While it's thinking, I can explain more about. Do you have any questions on this interface?
Makes sense based on what you provided it.
Okay, so of course you can do better job. You can provide explicitly name conventions that you want it to follow, and you can attach it in another tool and say, please follow this naming conventions. In this case, it's actually not matters a lot because it's not what purpose of the demo. But of course, you can do. And actually, naming conventions from company to company different, so there were actually no but yes, it's possible to do it. Any other questions?
What is the rate of the road? Is the agent extension before how does that work?
Can you rephrase it? I'm not sure that I understand.
What is the LLaMA?
Okay, so in this particular case, I use ChatGPT for 0, 1 to 5, but you can choose any type of, like, if I scroll here, you can see that you can do the same using, for example, Anthropic Claude.
Did you get this?
Oh, like the application that you're
Yeah, but make sure we're not releasing information that we couldn't.
Is this a tool that you built? Is this a tool that was downloadable online?
So we have another tool that open source, but this tool is a part of our enterprise solutions.
So that's your homegrown?
Sorry?
Is it something that you guys built?
Yeah.
How do I get
you
a hold
were
of that?
referring to the previous screen with multiple cards. Okay.
Yeah, it's one solution.
Still get it and use it or buy that. So this is not out of the market.
No, it's we work with other companies to provide this solution and help to leverage into their processes. We even providing our prompt engineers or our DevOps engineers. Another thing that I actually should notice, but I didn't, related to security. There are different ways, depends on security levels of the company. So, for example, you can you can deploy everything on premises. So this way you ensure the highest level of security of your data, make sure that no data get out of the system. Another solution is to deploy it on the cloud. But actually, yeah, we can talk about it after. If anyone interested, I can share more details.
Back at the open source that you mentioned, can you mention the name of that open source group?
Yeah, sure. So it's called AI Dial. Yeah, actually, you know, if there is a chance to share the links after. Like, okay.
Part of your presentation. We also have a question. You showed integration test route.
It was not part of the demo, and there are a lot of different integrations. So, but if there is specific interest in that, you can contact us, and we could arrange a specific demo for test trail, because there are a lot of things in this. You couldn't just show it in 5 minutes. And yeah, get in contact, and we will show it. By the way, so another thing that I want to show while the agent is running. So there is another thing, it's conversation. What does it mean? So here, when we build an agent, we can just say instructions, but another way how to build agent and to assign it specific role. For example, agent, business analyst agent, or like QA agent, or automation agent. This specific conversation is what is for. You have a chat, and before you build an agent, they do specific task. It's integrated with your conference, so it's knowledgeable in your product. Or it's integrated in Jira, and you can search through all the Jira and right away provide the number of the ticket that corresponds to some requirements. Or you want to automate something, and you created agent to cover this specific task, and then you just inviting this agent to the conversation through the screen. You inviting it into conversation and saying, hey, can you do this for me? And the agent doing it, and everything output it does, it's saving in the chat. So next agent that you inviting would reuse the information that previous agent generated. And this way you can achieve results like what you need. For example, here, this conversation specifically to create requirements. And so you can see that several agents were invited, and it was specifically to build requirements. Okay, let's go back and see how the agent going. If actually thinking, okay, it's right now thinking a little bit longer how it should, and I think that today I run the same agent earlier, because this amount of time it should already provide the input. I don't know, maybe it should be some unrelated conditions. So this is agents that already generated results. So let's go step by step. First of all, it's extracted information from the Jira, and it generated all the scenario in the actually format that's ready to be copy pasted into your feature file in your framework. But we're not going to do it because agent going to do it for you. Then what is this for? So here I use ISTQB syllabus to ask it to use best practices from it for generating scenarios. So it's extracted some information from ICTQB syllabus. It was attached in one of the another agent, because this agent is just a master, but I call it master agent because it's orchestrating other smaller agents doing some small task. Because when I was experimenting and I created just a huge one agent and asking to do a lot of tasks, we're in the middle. So because of that, decision was made to break it down to the smaller, more like task, atomic task that could be then orchestrated in one instruction. Okay, so we generated test cases, create a feature file was created. Then here we see that step definitions were generated. Page object also was generated. And in the end, we see that traceability matrix was provided. So we see that user story ID and the list of all the test cases. And the interesting part here, so what it automatically created branch in GitHub, and all the content that it generated, in my case, it was 3 commits with each file in 1 commit. What the files are? First, it's feature file here with the scenarios. Another file, it's 1 second. Another file, it's a step definition. Step definitions, and the last file, it's a page object with the elements. And here's the part where human interaction needed, because we're still working on bringing it to the level at least like 90% of success of when you're running the agent. But there is still this technology is mostly in its infancy. There is so many work should be done to bring it to the level when it could automate the process. We already know that it could cover workflow, but to teach it and train it to provide highest level of quality of the output, it's collective work to do it, because one of the things how to make it produce better results is to provide good example, good template. And in another agent that we have, we're connecting them directly to your repository that you have, and it's could analyze your repository and provide you information. For example, this class probably doing this class doing that. Then it could analyze syntaxes that you use in your project, and based on that, it could generate all the results. And it's the best way how to show it, how to do, how to generate results better. But still, a lot of not a lot, but needed people who gonna review it, and before put it as a part of automation of the pipeline. Okay, any questions?